Good evening and welcome to the 2014 Los Angeles Film Festival presented by Film Independent. I'm truly sorry for the delay. It is a bit of a parking nightmare here today. As you know, there's a lot going on. We can blame it on the Kings for not winning the other day or on the concerts that are going on, but anyway, I thank you for being patient. We couldn't put this on without our presenting media sponsors, the Los Angeles Times. A big thank you to them and to the Regal Cinemas at LA Live for their state-of-the-art projection. And a special thanks to the Alliance of Women Directors, who were the sponsors of this screening. Thank you very much. It gives me great pleasure to present the world premiere of Stray Dog. It is an extraordinary piece of work. I'm sure most of you are familiar with Deborah Granick's work, from Down to the Bone to Winter's Bone. There's no bone in this title, but it is actually, well, as you'll discover in the Q&A afterwards, it's kind of arose out of Winter's Bone. It's a remarkable film. I won't say too much about it. You'll discover it for yourself. Please welcome Deborah Granick.
Thank you very much, and extra thanks, like David said, for getting here, being here with us tonight. And I will be here afterwards, and the editor of the film, Victoria Stewart, the DP will be here, Eric, and the producer. So we between us, we can answer questions and enjoy talking, so we look forward to that, and we'll be waiting.
Don't forget to vote. Turn off your cell phone.
Hi, everybody. I'm Maggie McKay. I'm the senior programmer at the festival, and I'm very pleased to bring back Deborah Granick.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And you want to bring some people down?
Yes, I've got the collaborators. We're here tonight. So Victoria Stewart, who edited the film,
Yay.
and produced it with Anne Rossellini, and here's Eric Phillips Horst, who did the photography for the film.
Yay.
DP.
Here, let's move you guys all down here so we're all here.
Anne's out there. She wants to come down.
Anne, are you here? You want to come on down? So while Anne's making her way down, here, come closer.
Yes,
Come
yes.
closer. I'll just explain how this works. I'm going to start with a couple of questions for these folk. And while I'm doing that, you can mull over your own questions, and then we'll open it up, and we'll have a nice chat, and that will be that. So thank you for doing this. This is the world premiere of the film. It's a film that I'm very, very proud to show, and I think our entire programming team feels that way. To me, it's everything that's tragic and beautiful about America, and I didn't think of that until after I'd seen the film a couple of times and really thought hard on it. And I'm curious, why don't you tell them a little bit about how you came to know Stray Dog, because it's an interesting story, and tell us when in your mind did you realize he would be a great idea for a documentary subject?
So the story of meeting Stray Dog really starts with a chance encounter of being in a biker church when we were scouting for Winter's Bone and noticing him in the pew, noticing the furry arm, noticing the whole person, and wondering if he might be willing to take a risk and to audition for a role in Winter's Bone, and he was open to it. He was receptive, even though we really were outsiders, strangers that sort of chased him down in the parking lot. And he was, not only was he sort of well suited for the role, but he also brought a lot of local network. He could populate the barn for one scene. He could help in those ways, and he was a curious person right from the get-go because he was so receptive. He wanted to discuss this project with us and go forward. And when we went at the end of the film to say goodbye to him, that was also a very powerful experience. Just seeing him in his own element, seeing him in the RV park that he runs, seeing who his neighbors are, seeing the ingredients of his life, and then sort of very quickly he divulged a few things that he was just in the midst of, and that was also, those were things that were not things you could just tell about the person by just seeing him from the external. And that was enough to make us go home and say, like, God, what would it be like to follow him across the country, for example? Like, we talked about this bike ride meaning a lot, this motorcycle ride to Washington. And we wondered, just what would it be like to see him in his daily life, what it would be like to see him perform certain rituals throughout the year that are related to his vet identity, to see him to go through the year. And I would say the anthropology of that identity, and then also how he personally navigates.
Yeah. He's amazing. I'm going to hand this to you guys so that you can talk. I think everybody can hear me. I'm loud. Can you guys, thank you. Can you guys talk a little bit about the production of this? Deborah mentioned Winter's Bone. I'm sure you all remember Winter's Bone, which is a beautiful film. Yes, you can clap. We like clapping, which of course launched Jennifer Lawrence's career and was Spirit Award nominated and all sorts of things. So can you talk a little bit about, and all of you I believe were on Winter's Bone too, right? Or most of, yeah, right? You're all together. So can you talk a little bit about going from a production like that to a production like this? Because especially as a first-time documentary filmmaker, I would imagine there are some interesting differences.
There are. It gets really small. I mean, this is it,
Yeah.
and a sound, and always having to have good sound. And Eric, one-man band, flings up one or two lights every now and again, but just it's the smallness is crucial, right? Those are small trailers we had to squish in together. I think everything is different. Everything is different. I think. Unexpected beauty is the same. That's like you do discover things that you could have never known going into production. Those rewards stay the same. I think the physical scope changes dramatically. I think, I think all four of us really like working in this very small, tight way. Only because you do not have to wait for people to tell you, whether it's how to proceed. Really, you really do. You can run and gun and. Try your skills and your moxie at finding a subject and seeing if you can stick with it. I think editing, it's a very reckless. That's a crazy experience. That's 230 hours of someone's life, and their friends, their neighbors, so much. So many other characters that could never be in this film that just delighted us. Filmed. Luckily they're all still kind of with us. Mm-hmm. But the fact is, it is a uncharted territory that takes this kind of loving patience, to hack at, to shape, to retry. So that part's extremely different, I would say. And I mean, the shooting, it's all different. I mean, who shoots normally? With no, there's no union, so it's like 18 hours. Yeah. I mean, it's about it's unparalleled stamina.
But I think one of the highlights for me is when we finish a really long day, when we wake up before them to get them in bed when they wake up, spend the whole day, get them going to sleep, go back home to our hotel room, and then sit around and eat weird microwaved Indian food together and talk about what happened that day and talk about what we're going to do the next day and how the arc is going. And that intimacy of our crew is something that I think really helps us form the movie and write the movie as we're all living this life, these folks.
Questions? Right there.
How are the boys doing? The day before yesterday, they started a 8-week super intensive live-in program at the University of Missouri for English. So they are truly, Alicia, their mom, is really tenacious. She just is holding, so tight on the structure that she can provide and the instilling in them to keep going, to move on. Don't stay at that busboy job. get the English, go for higher training, more, and they're receptive. They listen to her. They know she has their back in terms of trying to see a future for them. And so I think, they are definitely uprooted. They had a life. They had a really established life in Mexico City. And so they are, I think, people who are still dealing with being in the throes of being, deracinated. And I think, and yet they're trying. They are truly trying. And I think the friendship with local people has expanded. Each month brought on some new connection, some way, and they were kind of liked. As there's little evidence of that. People sort of, I enjoyed having this new family come to town, come to the village. We think things are going pretty well, but within that, there's the bittersweet that will never go away.
They try so hard. Like they're incredibly hard workers. They're so well intentioned. Like they're just such good boys, as so many people in the film note. Like they're really trying to make a go of it with all of their hearts.
More questions? We'll go right there.
How did you get such intimate contact with the family that they didn't seem to even notice you? It was such a unprotected view of these people. It was wonderful. How did you let go of your name?
Camouflage.
Eric can squish down to a very small size, just like perch on top of things, and then you just forget that he's there. That's part of how it was done.
I would say that it is true. I think many documentary filmmakers will say this, that you do become, people become habituated to your presence. That after, I would say by the end of 1 week even, if you've been standing there and you've filmed every breakfast, lunch, and dinner, after a while, people just continue on. It is an interesting phenomenon in photography and observational photography. And that being said, Ron was someone who, his attitude about a lot of things is like, this is who I am. He is someone who would say things like, "Seen one, seen them all." If you find this interesting, that's okay if you're here. He was not. He did not put up too many boundaries, and yet he did put up some, and those were made clear to us, and we respected them. And there were other scenarios on that ride across country. There were times when it was not okay to film. And so we, those signals became made clear, not usually from Ron, but from other people in the environment, and you do have to stay very, very attuned to that. But that was again, I didn't really maybe make that clear, but that was sort of one of the reasons for making the film, in the sense that access is the first route to trying to make a portrait of anyone else that you don't know. It's like, and you have to kind of make sure that that's there, and he was willing.
That was sort of my question, but I guess I can add to that. So, when they were in the car driving to Branson, were you in the car, or did you let them have a camera for a while? Were you crouched down?
That was Ron was very willing to deploy the GoPro camera in our absence, so they faithfully mounted that every morning of their 6-day drive, turned it on, so we had hours and hours and hours of them sitting in the car. But that was another great part of working with Ron, was he was just willing to go that extra mile for us.
Something that kind of amazed me was working with Deb and Tori is they really understand each other really well, and I felt like I could come into that fold and learn those silent signals, and there was a lot. We had an ability to work together where we were quiet and effective, and we were all on the same page really fast, and that was just a matter of looking and talking and being a team. That was really cool.
one more quick one. Oh, hi, before that.
So the question, how long did we shoot and how long was the post period?
Well,
Yeah.
we kind of started shooting in May of 2010, and then I guess our official like scout shoot was October of 2010, and our final day was end of March 2013. And we had like I guess 4 like primary intense shoots, and then we were filming consistently using some local camera people in the in-between times, which is another thing about working with Ron, was he was a great producer in his own right. Like, we were in touch with him very consistently and say, hey, I'm doing this ride, girls, like, do you think that would be interesting? And we're like, yes, like, we'll get on that. But so we were cutting as we were filming, and then I guess we got final cut around the end of last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so the cutting all in, and then
3 years.
yeah. Yeah. Incoming information, trying to factor that in. New shoots, trying to factor that in. Yeah.
Well, I'm getting the sign. We have to wrap it up. So what I want to say is 3 years and a beautiful piece of work. Thank you so much for doing this. And the film screens again, so please let people know, Facebook, Twitter, etc. And hand your ballots in when you leave. And thank you. We'll see you soon. And will you send Stray Dog our love?
Yes.
Okay. Please do.